Hi, I'm Adam Sheehan, Senior Marketing Manager at Funimation, and we're here at Area 51 in Grapevine, Texas to talk about a wonderful thing called the Dragon Ball Z collectible card game. Some of you might have heard about it. It's been around for a little while, and I'm here to talk about it because I used to work at the company that put it out, Score Entertainment, way back in the day before I joined Funimation. I was there doing many different things, especially the parts was the Hummer driver for the Dragon Ball Z Hummer Tour, which was a very big part of my life, and moving on to events and other different parts of that. Here in a little bit, you're going to see a rematch of the World Championship Dragon Ball Z card game between Aik Tongtaladan and Brian Valdez, something you do not want to miss out on if you had missed the first one. Aik will be joined here in a little bit by some of the people who used to work on the card game, including David Eckard, one of the original designers for the CCG, Garrett Wilkinson, one of the original playtesters, as well as runs RetroDBZCCG.com, and Tracy Hackler, one of the former sales and marketing guys over there who's going to talk about the past, present, and future of the card game. As I mentioned, the Dragon Ball Z Hummer Tour was where I got my beginnings in this industry, and what that really was is Score Entertainment bought an H1, like the military-style H1. This is before the H2s or any of those other smaller versions came out, and painted all the graphics around it in Dragon Ball Z, so basically driving a giant Goku on the hood. So basically, they hired me to drive all around the country, stopping at card shops, doing mall tours with voice actors flying in, and basically just doing demos of the card game while doing autographs and giveaways and things like that. So again, dream job. So some of the different things they actually did to promote it, I have here in this box. They did a lot of different marketing for the Hummer Tour back in the day, including cards that were done in packs. They were inserted into different packs all around the country, advertising maybe just come to your card shop or your mall. We went to, I think, almost 30 of the 50 states, so there was a good chance you'd see us. So this was always one good way to actually see the cards. We used to do flyers back in the day, which was, an email without the E. We send out different flyers to different news groups, and retail locations, things like that. This is a markup of what the flyer for the Dragon Ball Z card game Hummer Tour was going to be, looking around. The Ultimate Victory Tour. We renamed every single tour we went out on along those lines, including, you might have seen another extra, Sonny Strait drove the Hummer at one point and did the Krillin to the Max Tour. So he was not on the Ultimate Victory. That was mine, because they had to change around from Krillin or it'd be weird. On tour, I spent so much time with the voice actors. Every single weekend, pretty much. Got to know them almost like family. So kind of a little keepsake for everyone. I have them autograph the card that was exclusive for that tour at the time. So I started getting their autographs wherever I could. As you can see here, I've got Sonny Strait, Eric Vale, Chris Sabat, everyone under the sun. And then, of course, we changed the card out every Hummer Tour. So we have a couple more back here who didn't make the first one here. Kyle Hebert, and one for myself because it was the strangest thing when people kept asking to have my autograph, so I thought I might throw it in there just for funsies. So talking about the cards, there was multiple sets. I believe there was about 11 regular sets and 3 or 4 subsets. Those cards got to be made somewhere. In the beginning, they basically draw up cards on little pieces of plastic they called proxies, playtest cards. I happen to have a little small set of them that have never been seen before, including, if anyone's familiar with the card game at all, they have different colors. Basically, there's blue, there's red, there's orange. This one you see here, it says brown. There never was a brown. What he called brown never actually made it out of playtest. So this is an original thing. And some of these cards, most of these cards, the original text from what they are in here and their final text in the cards, not even close to the same thing.
All right, it's my turn now. I'll go ahead and start my turn by drawing 3 cards. 1, 2, and 3. Non-combat step, I have no non-combat, so I'm gonna go ahead and power up. I'm already at full,
Yep.
but Chi-Chi does go up 1 power stage.
Yeah. You need that stage on Chi-Chi.
And I think it's a good time to start combat, so I'll go ahead and enter combat.
Okay.
My first one entering combat would be Vegeta's Quickness Drill. Draw the bottom card of my discard pile into my hand.
What are you getting there?
And I am getting a Goku's Plan, or actually, Goku's Physical Attack.
That's probably better for you.
Yes,
All right. It's pretty good.
it's a good one to have.
Pretty
I
good.
think I'm gonna win the game right here.
We'll see about that.
So, yours now.
Mine, huh? Okay. I'm going to start off with Namekian Style Mastery. Lets me draw the bottom. Happens to be Namekian Quick Blast.
So you power up to full?
And I power up to full.
Okay.
Also going to activate Expectant Trunks. And pull a card out of the discard pile. Go ahead and take Namekian Dash. And then I'll draw 3 for my turn.
All right, and that gives you
6
how many
cards?
cards? 6 cards in hand. All right, that's not good. All right, well, for my first action, I will start with a classic confrontation.
It is very classic.
Yeah, so I get to look at your hand, choose a card, place it back into your deck.
You know I like all of my cards, so I'm just going to go ahead and Trunks Energy Sphere that, which stops the effect of a
that's
combat
it.
card.
Okay.
And my turn, huh?
Yeah, it's your turn now.
All right. I think I'm going to go with Gohan's Kick.
All right, well, there goes that idea.
Sorry, bud.
So, but I do have a block,
Okay.
Goku's Flight,
Okay.
and I'll raise my anger 1, which brings me to 5, which means I go up to level 3
That's pretty convenient.
into a new bracket.
It's pretty nice for you. Level
Which
3.
is level 3,
I'm still at
Goku,
level 4, but
Earth's
you know.
Hero.
All right. What are you going to do with those power
And this
stages
actually
you got there?
stays out to be used again.
You're right.
All right, and I'll go ahead and start with a black body destruction. Physical attack doing +4. I choose a card at random from your hand. You discard that card,
At random, huh?
and you discard.
All right. Here you go. Take your pick. That would have been nice to have.
I'm getting low on cards, though, and this gets removed from the game.
All right. What is that? How much damage is that going to do to me here?
All right, well, it's going to do 1 base damage,
Yep.
another +4, then another +2/+2 from my mastery.
All right. So it's going to do 7 stages plus 2 life, minus 1 life. So I'll go down 7 stages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 life. All right. My turn, huh?
This gets removed after use. Your turn to attack.
I'm actually going to perform an energy attack. And since it's an energy attack, I have to pay 2 stages. So go down 2. I'll play Energy Lob. Lets me switch a non-combat and play with 1 from my deck. So I'll get rid of that. Let's go ahead and put this into play.
Champion Drill, yeah. Nice
pretty
card.
good.
I almost
pretty
had
good.
that card before.
Yeah, if you would have won, then you would have had that card. Yeah? It's not
Alright.
your card, it's my card.
Yeah, you got lucky. I should have won, but
Yeah.
I'm
We'll
going
see.
to block that one as well.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a Goku's Physical Attack on my turn.
Okay.
Physical Attack. If successful, I get the bottom card of my discard pile, which happens to be Goku's Plan,
Goku's Plan. Free energy attack.
a ultra rare from the Satan Saga.
You know what? I'll let you grab that.
All right, what's
Go
going to be 1 base, +1, then +1. So 2 base, or 2.
2, and then I'll prevent
And
the
1.
extra 1, so I'll take the 2. And Roshi prevents the life.
Go ahead and place this in my hand, and actually stays on the table to be used 1 more time.
True.
And you're at 0, right?
1 above.
1 above.
1 above.
That's good.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and activate Champion Drill here. Allows me to discard to draw 2.
Okay. So a lot
Do
of cards
that.
you've been having.
It is a lot of cards.
I'll go ahead and do a Goku's Physical Attack again.
You know, I'm not a big fan of that, so we're gonna play Ducking Technique. It stops the physical and also powers me up to full. I get to put the top card at
That's
the
bad
bottom.
news.
So I stopped your physical attack. It's my action. So I'm gonna go ahead and pay 2 and use Vegeta's Jolting Slash. It's an energy attack. It does 4 + 1. It would have lowered your anger too, but since you don't have any, we won't do that part.
Okay.
So it's gonna do 5 life cards of damage to you.
And I'm going to have to take it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And since it did 5 life cards, I can steal and use a Dragon Ball. Let's go ahead and take
So you're
this.
gonna activate the power.
And yeah, let's go ahead and discard your quickness drill there. You don't need that.
Already used it, so it's good.
That's true.
All right. For my attack, Goku's pattern. Energy attack doing 5 life cards damage. +1 from the mastery, and +1 power stage.
All right, no stages, so it does... It costs no stages, so it does 5 life cards and 1 stage.
It will be 6 life cards.
6 life cards, minus the 1, so 5. Okay. So I'll take the 1 stage and 5. 2.
All right, and you have 1 card in hand?
Yeah. So we're running low on cards in the deck, so we'll see what happens here.
I think I might win this one.
You want that? Would be helpful.
Yeah.
All right.
Almost made a mistake. Get rid of that champion drill, please.
It's too bad. Okay, so my action, I'll go ahead and use Cell's Power. It's an energy attack that does 9 + 1, so it'll do 10 life cards.
I'll use the time as tool.
Sorry,
Oh,
Gohan's
that's right,
kick.
Gohan's kick, that's correct. I want to have to take it.
10 it is.
Straight to the face, 10 life cards?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
10. One more.
Oh, 10.
Even though it doesn't do me any good, I'll go ahead and capture this because I dealt you at least 5.
If you wish, and I'm gonna have to pass.
Go ahead and pass, huh?
Would you like to pass as well? Or?
I don't think so, buddy. Gonna go ahead and use Piccolo's Powerball. It's an energy attack that will do 7. Put the bottom at the bottom.
And you already used Gohan's kick, correct?
I did.
All right, I guess I'm gonna have to take it.
7 damage.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's game, man. Good game.
That's game. Good game. Sorry, bud. 2 losses in a row.
Hello, I'm Tracy Hackler with Panini America, and we have a history-soaked, action-packed, informal roundtable discussion with some legends of Dragon Ball Z to talk about the Dragon Ball Z card game, the history, and where it's going.
Oh, I'm David Eckhart, also known as Chipmunk, one of the original developers and designers for the card game.
I'm Garrett Wilkeson. I was a playtester and designer of the original card game.
I'm Aik Tong Taladun. I was also a playtester and a designer, and I'm currently working for Panini America, working on the re-release of the Dragon Ball Z card game.
You were also a former world champion.
That is true. I was 2001 world champion.
Wow, that's huge. You never talk about that, ever. You never... We've had all these discussions about bringing back Dragon Ball Z in the Panini office, and you never say, you know, as a world champion, I know you're not a bragger, but you need to pump that up more, man.
Yeah, that's part of it.
You don't drive behind his car, it's on his license plate.
Yeah.
All over the bumper.
Yeah?
Stuff like that, yeah.
Well, you deserve it.
Thanks.
So you guys were instrumental in the original Dragon Ball Z game, various phases of that project. So one of the things, I was on the sports side back then, but I always envied you guys because you guys there was always something going on, and there was this intense passion from not only you guys, but the game players. So what do you guys remember most fondly about that time, that formative time?
Well, all the different changes that the company went through, because the company was very different back when the first set, Saiyan Saga, was released versus towards the very end with the Buu Saga and Kid Buu and whatnot. There were a lot of fun people, but going to conventions and tournaments was probably the best. Just like seeing hundreds of people playing the same game and having a blast was really fun. So it's probably where my fondest memories come from.
That's cool.
Tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, see, I worked on both sides of perspective. Before I came and worked there, I was one of the players. So I played in like the world championship that he won and whatnot, and I didn't win, unfortunately. But so I got to see both spectrums, and going from playing in the tournaments to actually working on the game and whatnot was exciting. You got to see kind of the curtain pulled back and where everything comes from and the thought process of the good and, you know, the bad. It's like, oh, I know who to blame now for that one card that was too strong or something like that. So
Yeah, a lot of times me.
yeah,
It was a lot of times you.
Yeah,
yeah.
so my fault, but it was fun.
I think all of us developed a lot of friendships with the people that played and the people that worked there, and it sort of carried over. Actually made it a really fun place to work at. I think I actually carry that in the most.
Yeah, that's true. Like a lot of the people I see, because I still go to conventions and whatnot, and a lot of the people I see are people that we used to play the games. And it's weird now because they play the games with their kids. So it's funny, it's like, this is my son. I used to play this game when I was like a teenager, and now I'm playing it with my son, and he's coming to the tournaments with his son to bring the games and whatnot.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's fun. That's kind of the thing that, like, the lasting impression on the game is anybody that the game grabbed a hold of that's still there. Like, they still love it.
What is it about the game that does grab a hold of folks? I mean, you guys have seen it for years and years. Why do so many people dig it?
Well, it's very unique in the spectrum of card games that there's not a lot of card games that kind of play like that game does. It has different types of mechanics. Like a lot of games, it's real resource intensive, and it's kind of controlled what you can do on each turn. Where in Dragon Ball Z, it was a lot like the show in that it was more like just a knockdown, drag-out slobber knocker. Like you, turn one can go after somebody and just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
Just go after each other. And then there's kind of like so many weird things with the cards. There was like rare cards that got dropped in the packs on accident and things like that. And having it come from like a sports card side of things, there was kind of these sports elements in the card sets. There was chase rares, subsets, ultra rares, alternate foil patterns, all these things that kind of made collectors go nuts because people love Dragon Ball Z, and there's tons of people that played the game that really didn't play it super competitively, but they bought the cards because they were really, really into Dragon Ball Z. Yeah.
A lot of people also like that it kind of matched the theme of the show, so to speak. Like Dragon Ball Z was all about strength and power, and all these characters having all these powerful abilities to blow up planets and teleport and all this stuff. And so the card game itself had a lot of powerful effects that if they existed in other card games, they would be broken or banned. They would get rid of them because they'd be too strong. But in the world of Dragon Ball Z, they were just fine. And so you had all these overpowered decks playing against other overpowered decks and just allowing people to do whatever they want. Because the people that still play it, like one of the things they enjoy is all the different ways that you can build decks. There's a lot of variety and a lot of different things that you can design and develop towards for your deck in order to prepare yourself for the game. So there's a lot of people really like that.
And another thing that kind of differentiated how Score handled the game was a lot of game companies, the designers were kept away in rooms and whatnot, and it kind of dealt with the size of the company, that everybody had to have multiple hats. You were a designer, and then you also ran the tournaments. So you were there interacting with the players yourself. Right. So you got firsthand knowledge of what they liked, what they didn't like, and a lot of the really serious players, they would go from tournament to tournament to tournament to tournament. So you got to see them on a regular basis, and over 3 or 4 years, just became your friends and whatnot. And just the access that the fans and the players had to the people who were actually making the game was really unique, because you don't really see that a lot with other games.
Yeah.
Especially since so many of us were so young, we didn't have this, I guess, aloofness. We were like, yeah, these are our people. Let's go hang out with them.
Yeah, we were the same age. That's another thing, too. We were all in our early 20s. We were all the same age of the people playing.
You still look good, too. I mean, you still look like your early 20s.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, thank you.
David talked about the diversity that building a deck offered. So I got to ask, Ake, as a world champion, what kind of deck did you strive to build, and how long did it take you to build a world championship winning deck?
Well, I mean, I think despite everybody wanting to build their decks for fun, I think ultimately you tried to win, especially when you go to specific tournaments and stuff like that. That can take anywhere from, hours to days. It really just depends. You have to take into account what decks other people are going to play and how you want to play against them and stuff like that.
Well, our World Championship was kind of unique, too, because that was the Android Saga World Championship, because we had the Android Saga, an expansion for the card game getting ready to come out, and it literally was going to be on the shelves within the next week or two. So we grabbed like an entire, I think, case and a half, and we gave everybody that made the top cut a box of the Android Saga and said, you can play with whatever decks you want to tomorrow. You can play with all these new cards. Except for what we've shown on the website, nobody's seen anything from this set before, so go crazy tonight and show us what you can do tomorrow. So...
And when you talk about you're adding 130 new cards to the environment, and you have less than 12 hours to work around your decks and stuff like that, it was certainly very interesting.
Especially with Android Saga, because that's considered like one of the best sets in the game, and that drastically changed strategies in the game. And the card power, that like there's so many cards that are even late into the game's life were all still played from that set. So that was just like the impact of that set that on the game was just like, boom.
How did playing the game yourself, how did that help you build a better product?
You understood how the game was played. I mean, some people, when they start to design games, they'll play like a few games, and then they've got this concept of what the game should be in their head, and they design from that. But a lot of times, that's not really what your regular player is seeing. And so only by constantly playing against people, gunslinging against players, like that was something that we would do. It was called gunslinging. We would just take decks from the office when we would go to conventions, and we'd have like a little bag of promo cards and foils we'd call the cookie bag. And you know, you'd play us, and if you beat us, you got a card from the cookie bag. And so that allowed us to really understand what the players saw in the game, because in the end, that's what really matters. Perspective is reality. Doesn't matter if you have like the best or most balanced card game. If for where that player is at, it feels unbalanced, if it feels unfair, then they're not gonna have fun with it. And that's what you really need to resolve when you're trying to develop and design a card game. Because in the end, you need to make it fun for all levels of players, not necessarily the people on the top, not necessarily just for the people on the bottom. So playing the game a lot helped understanding where the game was going and where the game was turning into as each set was developed.
Another thing too is like when you'd play, like when I played in tournaments, I played in a local store, and there was very much like a community in that store. And when you go to the bigger events, like Egg pointed out, you're building a deck not necessarily to play for fun, but to play to win, because you're trying to win the prize money or the world championship or the exclusive card. But when you're playing with your friends in your local store, you're playing with more fun decks, things that may not be so streamlined to just do one thing or deny your opponent from doing something. So you're just kind of like, oh, my favorite character is Goku. I'm just going to make a Goku deck or a Vegeta deck or something along those lines. And having, you know, just kind of playing with people who took the game on a much more casual level, you knew when you were designing sets, like I need this amount of cards that are in there as answers to the metagame are for the competitive players. But then I need these type of cards that we would call Timmy effects that were there for, that weren't necessarily like game breaking on a competitive level, but were fun little things for people to mess around with if they're sitting around like the coffee table playing at home or just in their card shop. Fun little things for people to play that are more like flavor things, like a cheesy Goku card that mimicked him eating a bunch of food or something, so it would put a bunch of cards back in your deck, something like that. Which may not be the best thing in competitive play, but if you're just messing around trying to build a Goku deck because you like Goku, you're probably going to run that card in your deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what a lot of people don't really see. When you just open a pack of cards, you're like, oh, these are cool effects. That must have been really easy to come up with and stuff like that. But I mean, the process takes months to go from card design, graphics, play testing, all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot of effort to get one of these sets out.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of effort, especially with the small window of time that you usually get to do it. Because normally in card games, they want you to come out with new expansions like every 4 months.
3 or 4 months, yeah.
So you got to go from scratch to a finished product in 3 to 4 months. So that's not exactly an easy process, but it was fun.
Well, on the sports card side of things, you can ask any sports card collector, what's your favorite card, and they'll know instantly. Is it the same on the Dragon Ball Z side? If I asked you guys, what's your favorite all-time DBZ card, what would you say?
Well, mine would be Krillin's Power Tap from the Frieza Saga, but that's just because that was the first card that I actually got to really make, you know, instead of just taking an idea and tweaking it slightly or something like that.
It's a really notorious card in the game.
Yeah, now. It wasn't for like a few years, and then everybody was like, oh, this card's actually kind of decent.
Yeah.
Oh.
We had to clarify it about 5 times.
There's a document
Only 5.
online that's like specific card clarifications for cards, and you get to that one card, and it's like paragraph, and then another paragraph, and then another paragraph, and then somebody will figure out something else to use that card for that wasn't, we would have never thought of that. Okay, here's another paragraph.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a great card.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think my favorite card is Champion Drill, but I think it's fairly obvious. That's the card that I won for winning the World Championship. It's probably my favorite card. It looks great. It's also from Android Saga, roughly.
Where's that card now?
I keep it. I keep it at home.
Is
in
it
a
like
safe
in
place.
a big brick, like a lucite brick or something?
You know, it actually came in that, but I sort of took it out.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh. Probably
about
wanted
you,
to play with it.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. There's just a lot of cards I like. Like, I particularly like the android characters in the game. So if I'm not playing in a tournament or something and I'm just playing for fun, I like to build an android deck and use like Android 20 and Android 19 and Android 18 and have them all like work as an evil team to take over the world. So,
Yeah, Android deck's fun.
yeah, because they're all kind of keyed off of each other. So if you had more of them in play, you got more effects and more powerful.
And I know speaking on the Panini perspective, we've used a lot of technology that you guys started on the DBZ side in terms of cracked ice or the foils.
Yep. All those pattern foils.
A lot of those we've brought them over on the sports side. Is that surprising to you guys? I mean, because you guys always had the most colorful, the most striking, shimmering. They're like beacons almost from across the office. I mean, is that something that is a necessary ingredient in developing the game?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's necessary, but it did make the original game unique. It definitely made everything stand out with those high-tech, those, I think they were lenticular foils, I think is how it's pronounced. Those like really thick ones.
Yeah, I don't think they're lenticular though. Like etched.
Yeah, there's like some
micro
word.
etched.
Yeah. So, in the fact that after the first two sets, we were also redesigning the templates every set and changing the foil patterns. So every set had its own unique look to it. And once you started putting decks together for multiple different sets, like it made them have this very distinct look that caught people's eyes. People would walk by and go, wow, those kind of look cool. What the heck's going on over there?
Yeah.
So you don't need it for the game, but it definitely helps stand out amongst all the rest. So
That was another thing that separated it from other card games on the market at the time, is generally there was one set template, and then you would use that template for years. But with Dragon Ball Z, there was a new template, a whole new graphical design each set, whole new foil pattern each set, and it added a lot of flavor to the game. Like, it's still considered like one of the best looking card games out there, period, to date.
that part was really fun because we would have like this entire binder, probably about like this thick, just filled with foils. And so every set, we'd have like a little strip of, from what's called a white plate, which has the white ink that covers up the foil so that the foil doesn't come through certain parts of the card. And so we would take that and just flip through the pages and just kind of look like at all the different foils that were in there and kind of like picking and choosing and having little pulls and stuff. That was really fun, actually. Yeah. So and it helped our cards like really stand out.
Mm-hmm. So you play the game, you make the game. So obviously you're big fans of Dragon Ball Z, right? Mm-hmm. And if so, why are you big fans of Dragon Ball Z?
I like over-the-top dudes beating each other up in over-the-top ways, so it kind of sells me.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think back in the 90s, Japanese animation was fairly uncommon, and I mean, Dragon Ball Z was definitely one of those animation shows that just got everybody hyped up into that and enjoyed it.
And there was a lot of it, too. It wasn't like a lot of decent animes where there's like a season or two, you'd get through 20, 30 episodes. Oh, it's done. No, Dragon Ball has, what, almost 300?
Yeah, there's like 300.
300 plus episodes, yeah.
And it just, for a teenage boy, it's like if you grew up watching wrestling and muscle-bound dudes just without their shirts on beating each other up with bad haircuts, Dragon Ball Z was like the next logical step.
Yeah.
Their haircuts go,
Real high.
turn all gold and everything.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite Dragon Ball Z character of all time?
Do you have a favorite?
I like Vegeta a lot. I think most of the main cast I like quite a bit.
Okay.
Vegeta, Goku, Krillin, Piccolo.
In-house, our favorite character was Tien, but that's just because he had a third eye. And we thought that was really cool. So, like in the card game, that's why out of the main cast, he was one of the few characters that got a lot of cards and a lot of stuff for him because he was just kind of like our little in-house flagship dude.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
There's like a TN card every set.
Yep.
And you're always like, that's a really good TN card.
Yeah.
It's behind the scenes you just don't get anywhere else there.
Yeah.
What about you, Ake?
He's got a third eye.
I think my favorite character is a movie character, and it's Brawly. I mean, I think just legendary Super Saiyan. Just complete I would swear, but I don't really want to.
He's a complete BA.
He's a bad blank.
Yeah.
BA,
Yeah.
yes.
He's a bad
He had
dad.
the best quotes on cards because they would take little quotes from the show and they
It's
put it
just
on the
him
cards.
screaming.
And it would just be like his quotes would all be like,
That sounds like Egg talking now.
Yeah, pretty close.
So how difficult was it? Because on the sports side of thing or on the entertainment side of things, you have photos of athletes or personalities or singers or you guys didn't necessarily have athletes that you could photograph or how did you go about calling all the images?
Well, so in the initial parts of Dragon Ball Z, we were given these beta time tapes that were basically copies of the original betas, but they had the little time frames on them. And so we would watch the show and we would collect all the different time frames for different images and pictures, and then we'd request Funimation to give us these images and have them returned to us. And then we'd pick which ones we wanted to put on cards. Over time, we started knocking a few of those layers out.
Okay.
Like after a while, we started getting the pure or copies of the pure betas, and we're able to get the images ourselves instead of having to go to Funimation,
Okay.
for example. But
Gotcha.
that process ended up making us watch the show about 3 times usually. Because you'd watch
good.
it once just to sit down and kind of just watch the episode and get a feel for what's going on. And then you watch it the second time and you're actually starting to take notes and everything. And then the third time is when you actually go back for the images. You like look at which characters and storyline points are memorable. And then when you get to the fight scenes, you're literally going frame by frame. Because in Dragon Ball Z, they do a lot of clever techniques in order to take a couple of frames and make them last minutes at a time. But there are also some very unique and interesting pictures, just one frame inside of an entire fight scene. And you'd only be able to catch it by just going frame by frame by frame. So I've seen literally every fight scene in Dragon Ball Z in slow motion due to our image capturing process.
That's cool.
So, and that's generally how we'd go through it. Watch it a few times so you got an idea of what you need to get, and then it's just going frame by frame. Okay, that one looks good. Okay, no, let's go 2 frames later so their head's a little bit lower. Okay, let's use that one. Let's use that.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
despite the fact that we originally did this 10 to 12 years ago, the process is still the same now. You're still capturing it off of the DVD, watching it frame by frame. It can take, 30 to 45 minutes for something that would normally be just a 25-minute straight watch through to make sure you get everything correct.
Yeah, in addition to screen capping the show, like we were provided with style guides that would have like marketing materials, like just pre-made, something like that, kind of. Like that's a pre-made image that
Right.
you used, and you could put that on the packaging. And then like the high-tech cards, like David was talking about, they would have no background and they would be like foiled, and he would be etched out on there, and we would use a type of image like that. And then there was one time when we did a card for Shonen Jump magazine when they launched their first issue where they actually had the art custom made.
Oh, the airbrushed Goku.
Yeah, the
Okay.
airbrush
Yeah, the level
Goku.
one.
And that was the only one that was ever piece of art that was ever custom made for the game.
We've talking about all the old DBZ. The new DBZ's coming back. I can tell you from a Panini global perspective, there's that same excitement and passion that we saw way back when is ever present now at Panini. And we have a guy in Ake who's helped kind of bring that back. So what's that process been like for you, Ake?
Well, it's been great. I mean, I think we had a really solid game to start with, and we're sort of building on that, just cleaning up sort of some of the rules and making sure that's easy enough for people to pick up and learn. But I think we just want to carry on the tradition and make cards that people enjoy using.
And a lot of the old DBZ players are going to say, will the new game be compatible with the old game?
Yeah, it absolutely is 100% compatible.
Sweet. And it's out late August, early
Should be
September?
late August, early September, yep.
That's exciting. And now, before we go, we're not just angelic voices talking. You guys also brought show and tell props
Yes.
to kind of show.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at some of those.
We were talking about the Android Saga earlier, and this is an uncut sheet from the Android Saga. This is the rares, ultra rares, and I guess foiled promos.
Yeah, here's the promos down here.
Yeah,
on the
down
bottom.
here. And some of the most iconic cards in the game were on this sheet here. You have Fatherly Advice, the alternate art or Dragon Ball 7, the Namekian Strike, Ake's champion drill,
Right there, my favorite card.
which originally was supposed to be you only, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
And what happened when David was talking about this story about when he gave out the product to the top 16, there was a foobar in the printing.
Yeah, because
So what normally happens here is that these cards get cut down and they get put into a tray and then they get fed into packs. So these cards down here, starting right about here, right there, these cards aren't supposed to go in packs. But since they're on this sheet, it's fairly easy for them to just sort of slip in there when you don't intend for them to. And you actually got these cards in regularly mass-produced packs.
Yeah.
So
And you
this was
weren't
supposed
supposed
to
to.
be. This was supposed to be just for me. But a bunch of people have this now.
And it became, I guess the term for them was uber rare, because they were never like officially released anyway outside of how they accidentally got in the print run. And because they were only in the Android Saga packs, it made the cards years later, the value of those cards, especially sealed product, go way, way up, because that was the only way to pull some of these cards for years was just in there. And they're some of the most powerful cards in the game.
That's crazy.
I'd be surprised if there's still any Android Saga that's not opened, to be honest.
Yeah, that's probably pretty rare.
Yeah.
That's
And also,
fantastic.
since that was one of the world champion cards, it's a little shredded, but this is another one of the other world champion cards that we had. I think it was the following year.
Or the Ultimate Champion.
year after.
Yeah, the one with Dustin Morabito. So, but we started getting better on keeping track of our specialty cards and whatnot. So they took all the extras of the world champion card and they shredded them.
Sweet.
And this is the one that I got to keep.
Number 3 of 14. They made 14 of those packs.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
It was to keep things like that from happening. So they would just pull them off. Because of the way cards are made, you can't just print one card, really.
Yeah.
You have to print a whole
You gotta
bunch
print a
of
whole
them.
sheet of cards.
Yeah.
if you print one, it's going to show up on there at least once, which means you're going to have at least 1,000 or however many sheets get printed.
So that's been fascinating. You guys are a wealth of information and great stories. So much stuff nobody knew until now. So, Ake, thank you, former
Thank
world
you.
champion.
Thank you.
Garrett,
Oh, yeah. Thank you. And I
Thank
want to
you.
thank everybody who played the game over the years and kept me employed.
Yeah.
That what I consider the funnest job I've ever had. So.
and Mr. David with your shredded championship card.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me out. And thanks for everybody that ever played and checked the game out. So it wasn't about making money, it was just about people having fun. So that was really cool seeing people enjoy themselves.
And speaking of checking games out, 2014 Dragon Ball Z card game will be live late August, early September.
Yep.
This guy, the former world champion, is designing it, hoping to reconnect with a bunch of older DBZ fans and new fans alike. So look for it everywhere. I collect Panini.com and retail stores.